I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. My father actually joined as well, so did my stepmom. So I kind of wanted to keep the family tradition going and learn more about the world and how we protect our citizens.
One, I wanted to stop paying for college, and they were going to assist me with paying for college. Two, I wanted to get out of my area, which is actually here. This is actually home, but I wanted to kind of travel, get out and see things. And then three, I just like what the military stood for, and that's another reason why I wanted to join. I wanted to feel a part of something big.
As cliche as it may sound, I did join the military for education. However, I wanted to be a female representation so little girls like me can see someone that look like them and say, okay, it's a male-dominated career field, but I can do it as well.
I'm from a small town in North Carolina, and one of the reasons why I joined the Air Force is because I had nothing else to do. I wasn't in college like that. I had a job, but out there I wasn't making what I wanted to make, and I just needed to do something different and get out of the small town area that I was in. And so I just put one foot in front of the other one and made it happen, and now I'm here.
I initially put in to go to college. I did not get any acceptance letters in time for the time basically after I graduated high school. So to go ahead and complete college, or at least start, I decided to join the Air Force.
When I first came in, I felt like, unfortunately, race played a big factor in a lot of situations. I remember my first duty station, I had a supervisor who was all for me, all for helping his troops out, and then he made his next rank, and then he treated me and other men like trash. And he had one female troop, and he took care of her, sent her all to the best TDYs, different schools, whatnot, made sure she got decorations, and just kind of like left us by the wayside. And it put a bitter taste in my mouth, as well as other people who were under him at that particular point in time, but it made me a better NTO. That was in 2010, 2011, and I mean, things have obviously progressed since then. People are starting to look at things that are important and see where people drop the ball, especially during that time.
As far as diversity, I joined the military in November 2012, and I actually had dreadlocks. I cut my locks a day before leaving for basic training. Maybe some years later, with changes to 36-2903, dreadlocks are now authorized, so that was very refreshing to see the inclusivity with all the branches of the military.
When it comes to diversity, some of the changes that I've seen recently is how much invested the Air Force is when it comes to diversity. I started out in just a private org called the African American Heritage Council, and then that kind of blossomed into they wanted to do working groups, and it wasn't more just about being African American. They wanted to hit all different types, whether it be women, whether it be Hispanics, whether it be Asian Pacific, and of course African American and disabilities. They have different working groups. Actually, I think they have 7 that they're currently working on right now, and one that I recently been assigned to, which is called BEST, which is the Black African American Employment Strategic Team. So it's just different ways that they're getting after improving the equity of being here in the Air Force.
With me coming in 2002, 20 years ago, definitely seen some changes. One, definitely within the last 2 to 3 years, Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Chief Bass, first woman to actually hold that position, as well as General Brown, who is first African American who actually holds the title of Chief of Staff of the Air Force.
So when it comes to diversity, what I've noticed is people are more okay with speaking about it. We've had group conversations here at our Security Forces Squadron where specifically African Americans could speak about the adversities they faced day to day, so that maybe some people who aren't African American can kind of understand what we face day to day, so we can all get a better understanding of each other and how we work.
The adversity I had to overcome, and I embrace as well, is how I enunciate, pronounce my words. My mother was definitely, she was a English major in college. She didn't finish, but that was what she wanted to give me growing up as trying to raise a black male in society. She wanted me to talk to people, look them in their eye, and enunciate my words. And I was teased for it in school, especially the stereotype of a young black male. You know, coming from a small town in Sanford, Florida, it doesn't sound like much, but it's predominantly black. And you get teased a lot by your friends or people younger or older than you. I was even teased by adults, teachers. So it was definitely a different upbringing, but I embraced it and I was able to overcome it.
I was born in Mississippi. When I was 10, my mother moved myself and my sisters to the D.C. metropolitan area. So as you all know, that probably was a culture shock. Being a young girl from a small town, moving to the big city, learning how to catch the metro at 10 years old. So that was a big change for me. However, it made me very resilient and able to accept change as they come. Being in the military, moving from state to state, being deployed, and experiencing all those factors within the military, as it shaped me to basically have my voice and to sit at the table with any individual coming from any different background.
Adversity comes in all different shapes, sizes, forms. But I've always been grounded to how my parents raised me. As far as experiences, all different types of sorts. One being, I'm a pretty big guy. And so sometimes it may come off as aggressive to some. It just depends on how you take it. And then that adversity is how I kind of like my mindset of how I channel that. I can either get mad at it or I can just figure out the best way I can be a mentor or leader to the people that I lead. So.
Well, I've experienced adversity many times throughout my life, but specifically in the military, and even more specifically here at Keesler, I was at a convenience store. There was about a dozen people. I was the only African American in the store, and I was being watched the entire time by the clerk. On my way out, I was asked, do I have any contraband, and do I mind if he searches me? No one else was asked that question. I watched about 4 or 5 people leave before I did, and I politely told him no and exited the store. I think about sometimes how I could have blown up on him, but I chose to be the bigger person and just move on with my day, and I feel like that made me stronger because I did not stoop down to his level.
During Hurricane Katrina, a lot of the coast was tore up. A lot of facilities and buildings, casinos and things that people see nowadays that get enjoyed, it was removed. It was out in the ocean somewhere, couldn't find it. A lot of people were stuck in their homes for 10, 15, 20 days. My family is fortunate. After like 10 days, we got out of the house, and we decided to go help other people who were less fortunate. And this particular day, my dad, he got a call from somebody that he didn't know, but they asked him, hey, can you guys come top roof? I guess he heard from other people that, we were topping roofs and they needed assistance. So my dad, myself, my uncle, and at the time one of my best friends, we all decided to go over there. I remember taking them right into the neighborhood, and as soon as I took a right in that neighborhood, I was looking around, and there was a lot of people that were looking at us and staring at us. And I didn't understand why they were staring at us. We get to the house, 2-story house. My dad goes, knocks on the door. The rest of us stay in the vehicle, and nobody answers the door. So we're like trying to devise a plan of what we want to do. If we want to stay a little longer, wait, try to find out, wait for call back again, or decide to go ahead and leave. So after about 10 minutes, we decided to leave. And we started driving outside of the neighborhood. I started looking around again, and I noticed no one's outside. Whereas when we came in, there was a lot of people outside watching us. But heading out, there was nobody outside. And this car comes and like takes a right in front of us and just stops. So we stop, put on the brakes. I'm confused because I'm wondering like, why is this vehicle stopped in front of us? It's impeding us to get out of the neighborhood. 2 gentlemen get out of the vehicle and start pointing guns at us and start telling us what we need to do. And at that particular point in time, I was scared because I had never been in a situation, I've been in a lot of unknowns, but I've never been in a situation where it was this bad, where, you know, I don't know why these guys are pointing at me. I don't know what I did wrong. I don't know why they're yelling all these commands. I didn't understand any of that. So they come up to us, one on one side of the car, on my side, and then the other on my friend's side. And while looking at the vehicle, I'm starting to understand that, hey, this is an unmarked car. These are cops. And the one on my side put his gun to my head, and the one on my friend's side did the same to him. And they were yelling at us, yelling commands, telling us what we needed to do. And it was very difficult to understand because at that particular point in time, the only thing I could fear for was my life. Couldn't think about anything else. And I thought, you know, I'm a young man. I'm 17, 18. My life is going to be over. I'm not going to be able to do anything else with my life, all because I decided to go help somebody else out. And these gentlemen was saying all kind of hateful words, hateful speech, and that's how I knew that they were demeaning of my skin tone. And my father, he was telling them in the back seat, hey, no, we're here to help, we're here to help. So finally one of them listened and was like, why are you here? And he said, we came to help somebody top their roof. And he was like, okay, we don't believe you. How can we believe you? So my father said, look, I will contact the residents of this home and they will tell you. Fortunately for us, they answered the phone and they told them, hey, yeah, we had them come over here, top the roof and help. And we just wasn't there yet. They calmed down like nothing happened, and then they started talking to us like we were their best friends. They're like, oh, you know, you guys look like you play football, you know, you're in good shape, you know what I'm saying? Where you guys go to school at? And I was so confused because I was like, you were about to take my life based on a misunderstanding and based on a skin tone. And now we're best friends, apparently. And I didn't understand that. I was hurt really bad to the point where, and this shouldn't have happened, but I deemed an entire organization a specific way, sort of like what they did to me, based on how they reacted to me. And I didn't like law enforcement for a long time. And eventually I got to a point where I was like, why am I doing the same thing they did to me? There's no reason. I didn't grow up that way. My parents didn't raise me that way. So why am I going to do the same thing? And if I want to change something, my dad always told me, if you want to change something, be part of it. So I decided whenever I was joining the military to be part of security forces. It's law enforcement. And now I do whatever I can to show people fairness and show people that, hey, look, we're here to uphold the law and we're here to take care of you. No matter what, that is our job. Our sole goal is security of this installation or whatever installation that we're on and to take care of you.